Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being out here this afternoon. Maria and I came out this afternoon. We took a helicopter tour of the site. We then transferred over to the Families Assistance Center, where we met with just a whole host of folks in a church, gathered supporters of the families and actually family members themselves who lost loved ones in this tragedy. We spoke with them and expressed our deep sorrow and the support that this community has. And let me just say, it was quite moving to be there with those families. Most importantly, to be there with the people in the community that are surrounding those families. There's counseling support for them, there's church support, there's community support. It's kind of what Tennesseans do. They surround themselves in the greatest of times of challenge. And as we all were reminded, and I said to them, this, as tragic as this is, the strong outpouring of the faith community there, the understanding that God is a redeemer and that he can take the most tragic situations in lives and turn them around. You felt that happening even in that room there today. We then went to the Joint Center where all of the first responders, all the agencies that are on the ground today, and as you know, they're led by ATF, but TBI, the local sheriff's office, and by the way, ATF and TBI and the sheriff are here with me today for any questions that we might have for them. The Highway Patrol, the State Medical's office, 2 county sheriff's departments. There are agencies from across the country. I was reached out to on the day of the incident from the federal government, cabinet position levels, multiple governors across the country that reached out to me. So the nation has seen this tragedy, and they've been incredibly responsive. And what's all the way down to the local community, the response has been tremendous. It's an active situation, obviously very new. There's a lot of questions that have been yet unanswered, but the folks are here that can do that work, and that work will happen, will last for months in an effort to get the answers that people need for closure, for understanding, and just to make sure that there's a full awareness of what's taking place on this tragic spot in this beautiful community that is so hard to watch. Happy to take questions.
Governor, during your tour, what was most striking to you?
Well, in the helicopter tour, obviously the fact that where there was a full functioning facility, there's virtually nothing. That this magnitude of the blast was felt 20 and 30 miles away. There's indication from the professionals on the ground that hundreds of miles away there were seismic recordings of this blast. It was a terrific blast, but the magnitude of that it's devastating to see. I actually toured this facility 5 years ago, and with the employees. They had a jobs announcement, they had an expansion, and so we were here 5 years ago, and to fly over it today and see that, very heartbreaking.
Governor Lee, there was an incident in 2014, another deadly explosion here, and then here we are today. Were you made of any red flags about this company prior to this incident?
Well, my understanding is that incident in 2014 was a different company that no longer operated in this facility, so my understanding is that that's completely unrelated to this facility, to this company.
Do you want to see changes made again here now after all of this? Because I know there are tons of companies that work here out of this place, and the military as well is relying on things. So where do you have a hand in all of that in decision making?
I mean, I think that we always want to make sure that facilities in the state are operated safely, and TOSHA is one of the agencies that's responsible for that. So there will be investigations to see just what happened. I think it's early, right? We don't know what happened. No one knows what could have caused this or why it might have been caused, and that's exactly what's happening here on the ground today, is to get an understanding really of what's happened.
Governor, can you share more about some of the conversations you've had with families of the victims and just kind of how they're feeling?
You know, it was very somber in there in the church. Tears and stunned silence, quite frankly, from most of them in a situation of real grief. So primarily as an outreach to them of love and concern and care and prayer, and that was evident in the room, and professional support as well. Really, the sheriffs got up and spoke, the county mayor got up and spoke, I spoke, really to just say, if there's anything that you all need in this community, we want to be here to help you. And we really know that the greatest help comes from those people that are actually sitting around them, holding their hands. But it would be as you would expect. Their loved ones were here a couple days ago, and they're gone today. And there's a lot of heartache with that. But it was also, as I said, really encouraging to see the outpouring from the community, and I suspect we'll see a lot of healing over the next few months.
Governor Lee, this company back in 2019 had multiple TOSHA violations. Multiple employees were victim to different type of chemical exposures. Is this something that TOSHA may be looking into when it comes to, as this investigation furthers on, some sort of accountability that could happen for this company if they were found to be involved?
Well, certainly the reports from 2019 are clear, and they're there as evidence. We know exactly what those reports were, and they're available, so we know what that was about. And I think that was resolved in that same year. There were actions taken and reports made there. So that's what happens in workplace, where there's a workplace incident. They're reported, they're investigated, citations are made or not made. There's a full reporting and accountability of that, and that occurred those 5 years ago. I'm not aware of any other incidents from that point forward, but that'll all be part of this investigation, is just more fully understanding what happened.
And then tailing off of the last question, what type of resources are out there for the families of these victims? I mean, we're talking 16 families at this point. What kind of resources does the state have to offer to them, kind of at the time of need?
Well, certainly we're trying to get answers for them. The state medical examiner will be working together with the TBI, the FBI, the ATF, as they're the lead in this investigation. Answers, that's what families will ultimately want to get closure, and that will be provided in time. This is an enormous site that will have to be fully investigated, and that'll happen. But again, there's counseling resources that have already been made available to them, and the community is surrounding them. So I think, as I told the first responders and the agencies that were working in the operations center here, part of the healing that comes for families like this is when they see professional response on the ground that's trying to do the job that's supposed to be done in the aftermath of a tragedy like this. And they're certainly seeing that, so that's the greatest thing that we can do to help them.
You said yourself the nation knows about this tragedy. You've heard from cabinet level people. For people all across the country, what can you tell them about this community, all of the neighboring towns and counties?
You know, I don't live far from here, and grew up in this region here. Had a farm in this county. These are remarkable people. They're very resilient. They have been through tragedy. As you know, the Waverly floods in Humphreys County just a few years ago, where we had over 24 deaths in a tragic moment, frankly, just a couple of hours. They're not inexperienced with heartache and tragedy here. This community came together in that tragedy in remarkable ways, and have supported one another and recovered in a very strong fashion. It'll happen again here today. I saw it there in the church just a few minutes ago. But nevertheless, the loss is staggering. The losses are staggering. And quite frankly, to know that the world knows and to know that the nation is focused is a part of that sense of, you know, someone sees me and someone knows that this has happened to me. I think that's important. It doesn't solve the problem for them. It doesn't bring their loved one back. But to be heard and to be seen is a part of the healing process for every family.
Governor, this might be a question for the sheriff, but where exactly does the investigation stand into how this happened?
I'll let either one, any of these respond, but I'll just say broadly, there's a vast amount of work being done right now. The ATF will work for months if it takes. As one of the questions I asked them is, how long will this take? And what the response was, as long as it takes. That's how long it will take. We will work until there is no work left to be done to try and find the answers that need to be found. Right now, there's still a live scene. They're still investigating explosives that may be on the site that need to be detonated, that need to be recovered. So that is happening. At the same time, there's an investigation into trying to identify victims themselves, and then there will be an investigation into the cause of what actually happened. But first, to kind of secure the scene from a live standpoint, and then from a victim standpoint, and then you move to solutions. Anyone want to add to that?
Thank you, Governor. As the governor mentioned, it's going to take some time. Last night in the sheriff's press conference, I stressed patience within the community. Where it goes from here is, of course, we are in day 2 of the National Response Team being on the ground. They are doing their walkthroughs right now, and then they will begin to process the scene. Once they have left, whether it's weeks or months, we do have more work to do on the back end, which is the laboratory work, the origin and cause reports. We want to deliver a methodical and complete report to the community, to the citizens of Humphreys and Hickman County on what happened to their loved ones. So again, I won't speculate even on how long it will take. I'm going to echo the governor. It will take as long as it takes for us to get the answers that this community deserves.
So right now, we're still clearing out hazardous materials.
Right now, we are doing day 2 of processing the scene. Yes.
And what type of explosive devices were present during the explosion?
I won't speak to that at this moment because, again, I do not want to give out information that has not been verified. As I said last night, any information that we give to the community, which includes the nation, Governor, we want to be 100% spot on. So I will not speculate to that.
When do you think that we can get a little bit closer? When I say that, I mean even with a long-distance camera, even with some type of drone, we don't physically have to be there, but just to be able to show people what that looks like. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the fact that there are, different things that people are going to see there that are not what people should be looking at, especially the family members. I just want an idea of when we can actually visualize this.
I will say it will be provided to you at a time that is sufficient. ATF has fabulous public information officers that are working with the sheriff's offices, that are working with even the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. So that information will be given to the public when it can be. Yes.
Governor,
We're in the middle of a government shutdown right now. What is the impact of that on these federal workers who are there? Are there furloughed agents working the scene right now? What are the other possible impacts of the fact that the government's not funded and you're out there?
What we have are dedicated special agents, chemists, intelligence research specialists, public servants participating in this. Just because we are impacting a government shutdown, that does not release any of these dedicated professionals from showing up and again providing answers to this community on what happened to their loved ones.
Are they getting paid while they're doing that work?
Again, we are dedicated to working out there, and we will be there. Again, government shutdown irrelevant.
We know that there were some victims who were at the hospitals and they got treated and released. They had minor injuries. How important are these individuals when it comes to finding out what exactly led to this situation? Are they an important part of this investigation for you guys?
Everything is important. Those are leads that they provide to us, and Sheriff, I think you can speak to that as well. All information that we can receive is extremely important because it paints the full picture of what happened out there. No one that is standing here right now was there when it happened. So any information that we can receive, whether it's from witness interviews or evidence that we collect, I know the sheriff had mentioned people who were calling in things that may have debris on their properties. All of that is important. And
Are there any lingering public health concerns related to chemicals that were involved in the explosion, or any additional precautions the broader community should be taking at this moment?
That is one of the part of the investigation that is minute by minute. They're constantly doing evaluations of the site, and I give you my word that at the moment that we feel that there's any kind of danger to our immediately surrounding area or anywhere else, we're going to push that out, and we're going to get you notified so you can help us get that word out as well. As far as the investigation, I never want to put words in ATF's mouth, but again, it's them being on a government shutdown. I can tell you from the folks that I've talked to, it don't matter. I really think that they would be here on their own time if they had to be, because of who we're working for and why we're working and why we're here. I honestly can say that. I've talked to a lot of those folks. I've talked to these guys. They are giving every ounce of the energy that they can. The job that they are doing is very, very, very physically demanding because of the equipment, the gear that they're wearing. And it's right now, we're like I said yesterday, we're at a snail's pace. And as long as we're going to do that, we're doing that slow, methodical clearing of this. I can assure you, the governor, Director Rouse, ATF, we've got the assets, whatever assets that we feel that we come across, whether it's for our people, whether it's for the investigation, they're allowing that to happen. And they're going to allow that to continue to happen because of who we're working for. And that's our communities and these victims. And I can't say enough about all of the outflow from our communities. My phone is blown up from water, from food. And I really appreciate y'all putting that kind of thing out there. You had said something earlier about a timeline. I can tell you at a local timeline, I'm working on 2 weeks. I'm already starting to prepare things for 2 weeks from now. And the reason I wanted to tell you that and address that is because that's how slow and methodical, and these guys are giving their very best and utmost effort to do and find some of the answers to some of the questions that we have. So I can assure you that that's going to be a timely thing. Yes, ma'am. Can I ask a favor? When I ask y'all or look at you, ask a question, could y'all tell me your name, please?
Sheriff Kathy Park with NBC. You talked about how unstable the grounds are right now. Can you talk to us about the techniques, the technology perhaps that's being used? Are individuals actually going there, or is it robots or drones?
May I defer that to ATF? Sure.
Yes, ma'am. So the Sheriff's Department actually has a drone tethered, so they put that up yesterday so we could kind of get an idea of hotspots that are in the area. And then our team is actually physically on the ground. Yesterday there was a collaboration of bomb technicians from TBI, from ATF, from FBI, and other surrounding counties. Everybody was here working, and they were going in a very slow and methodical way, one step at a time, to identify if there was explosive material that had been kicked out from the initial blast, and they were working to remove that from the site so we can continue our operations.
We got time for one more, guys.
Hickman County Times, Dave Campbell. Just have a question about, is there any, I know names still might be withheld for a little bit, but is there any kind of sense of how we can understand, how many from each county and which counties they're from are impacted? I've started a GoFundMe, and I'd like to know how to get that to
If you may, if you may, would you mind reaching out to Sheriff Kraft and that? Not that we're trying to hide anything. It's the fact that I want to carry that back to the command post and be able to get that information, and us collectively as a group, because of the investigation. I want to make sure that we're not doing anything and that we're all together on that before I speak to that. One thing that I would like to say real quick, forgive me, I'd like to let Director Roush explain something that is very intriguing, and not intriguing, but very intertwined in this investigation.
Yeah, David Roush, Director, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. So we are currently, and as a matter of fact, just started the second set of the process of identifying remains. And so the first part was getting standards from family members. And so that we'll be able to do some comparisons with DNA. We're using the newest technology, rapid DNA, here on site. And so as remains are brought to us, we will be testing those to do matches so that we're able to identify individuals and provide those answers to the families waiting for those answers. And so it's a big piece of what our team is doing. We're assisting ATF with interviews right now, and then as was mentioned, we have our technologies here as well, assisting on mapping scenes and working with the explosive team that's on the ground, making sure things are safe.
But Director, we are confident in that 16 number?
We are confident in the 16 number.
All right, guys,
yes.
that's all we're going to have time for.
Thank you.
Thank you.